What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. I have Kelly Wiley with me. She's with the Kelly Wiley Group at Keller Williams Excel Realty. And Kelly, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us to share your journey of getting into this business and finding success.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me, Jon.
And I'm super excited because we've been social media friends. I find that when I get on my podcast, a lot of times I'm meeting agents for the first time. So selfishly, I love this time because I get to learn a little bit more about people in our industry and where they came from and their journey as well. And Kelly, where we always start is just from the beginning, growing up. What was life like for you growing up as a child and through middle school and through high school?
I came from a very close, tight-knit family. My dad retired from Kenworth Truck Company, if anyone knows where Kenworth is in Chillicothe, Ohio. My mom was a bank teller, and I was the second person in my large family to graduate from college.
Wow. Now, during school and stuff, did you have hobbies, activities that you enjoyed?
Yeah, I'm a big team person. I've always been attracted to anything team oriented, basketball, anything that I could do, really just to keep me very busy. And my parents, they were always under if you play a sport, you don't have to work. And so I always played a sport, kept myself very busy. And I just always knew that I lived in a really little town, and the town that I grew up in literally has 2 stoplights. And I just wanted something different.
No, that's awesome. And so through high school, going into college, did you have a specific career path that you were aiming for?
Funny you say that. I was just laughing the other day with my girls. I've got a daughter that's the Fisher School of Business, and I've got a daughter that's a school teacher now. And when I decided to go to school, I just picked something to major in, and I decided to go into nursing at Capital University. And I got less than a semester in, and I'm like, holy crap, this is not for me. And I will never forget, I'd always gotten good grades before in the past, and I'd really never been out on my own before. And I get put on academic probation my first semester. And my dad is this really nice, sweet, tall man that doesn't say much, but he always scared me. But who scared me the most was my 5-foot Scottish mother, who is from Glasgow, Scotland. And she's like, rip her out. She's done. And I'll never forget, my dad came up to that school and he walked me around campus and he said, listen, kid, I'm going to give you one more shot. What do you want to do? And I'm like, I'm not sure, but I just don't want to do nursing. He's like, well, then pick something that you can universally use the rest of your life. So I did. I switched and entered into political science and an English degree, and then I just never looked back.
So I'm curious. I was one that switched majors when I was in college as well. Mine was I failed calculus and decided that accounting wasn't going to be. I couldn't understand why I needed calculus in college to go for an accounting degree, but that's a whole nother story. I'm curious though, when just picking nursing, was there any inkling around like you thought you would like that, or was it just something that you thought you would enjoy and doing as a career? Because I think the reason why I bring it up is I think there's times where we're so young at that point of our life to where it's like we don't know,
Right.
and some people have that direction of like, yep, I'm going to do this. But I'm curious for you, you kind of said you just picked one. Was it something that you enjoyed in high school or?
Nope. Didn't enjoy it at all. I did not like chemistry. Did not like anything to do with it. I literally picked it because when I was a young child, my mom at age 35 got breast cancer, and they gave her less than a 50% chance to live. And I just watched her go through everything with her chemotherapy and everything that she had to endure. And I just had so much respect for that industry. And I still do. I mean, I don't know how they do it. I could not do it. And then in the pandemic, I mean, it's amazing. I just recently, I went through a pretty hard struggle a couple years ago and had to have emergency surgery. And I just don't know. I don't know how caretakers do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a special human, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
I know us real estate agents complain sometimes about, about clients, but that
We
is that.
literally have the best job in the world. If we
Yeah,
just, I mean, who else can work as little hours as what we're working and get paid what we get paid? Nobody.
100%. I'm right there with you, 100%. So you get this second chance, right? And you have this conversation, with your dad, and you went the political science and English route. What
Mhm.
what made you go that direction? I know you mentioned, universal, right, that you could use down the line. Was there a certain career that interested you at that point that allowed you to kind of go that direction?
Yes, very interested in law. I was thinking at that point probably go to law school, and I just always loved English. I loved writing. I loved journaling, anything about that. And I still, if I look back at my playbook of graduating high school, if I look at one of the things I thought I was going to do and I still want to do would be write a book.
Let's do it. We need
Yeah.
to do it. I just spoke to I just had Glen Whitten on. Do you know Glen Whitten?
Mm-mm, no.
He just published a book. I want to say in the last year. He just published a book, and I talked to him about that's one of my goals. I've been talking about for I don't know 3 years now. As far as just getting I think for me, and I don't know about for you, like I feel like it has to be like this 150, 200 page thing, but it really doesn't have to be that. I think that's
No.
my block. And I'm not good with English, so you might be able to help me out with that. But
You can hire that out, right? Just
yeah,
put down your thoughts and your feelings and let someone else take care of all the
yeah,
grammatical
yeah,
errors.
for sure. So Kelly, you go through college, you end up graduating. What did you end up doing for your first career right out of school?
I got a job at a newspaper. And at that point in time, everybody tells you get a job at a newspaper, get seasoned, and then decide if you want to go to law school. So I literally went in and interviewed, and the day after I graduated from Capital, I started at the newspaper. And they just recently had banned smoking in the newsroom. So I walked into some pretty grumpy people, and I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. And interestingly enough, I'd always been pretty social and popular. So everywhere I went, I found something in common and I got in and things were great. And I just didn't fit in, did not fit in with this group. And I tried, and I ended up befriending a couple older people that were very, very sweet to me and taught me the ropes.
And was that here locally in Columbus or?
It was in Chillicothe, Ohio. It's called the Chillicothe Gazette at the time.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And did you focus on any specific subject within the newspaper, or did you kind of hit all topics?
They ended up putting me on the lifestyle page, and I got to do the little, I was in the newbie. So, you're doing the Dear Abby, all of the other ones. And then they started sending me out on assignments. And then I wrote a little bit, and then they quickly realized, okay, this kid can be an editor. So I ended up being the lifestyles editor, and we would work the really weird shifts. You get up super, super early, sometimes 4 o'clock, be in work. Weekends, you turn a double. So you would get everything to press. And at that time, they let you go out and get like a cheeseburger and a burger or and a beer. And then you go back to work, and you'd work until a certain time at night. And then you would get up and do it all over again.
And how long were you at that career?
I was there a couple of years. I didn't at that point in time, about a year in, I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna go to law school at this point. It was, very expensive. I was doing everything on my own at that point. And then I saw, at this point, you're reading want ads and looking at different opportunities, and a position came up at a hospital, ironically, not nursing, but a marketing position came up. And the Kelly today looks back and thinks, how did this young 20-something-year-old even think she had enough credit to even apply? And not only did I apply, they interviewed me and they hired me. And I had no idea what I was doing.
And it was for marketing?
Yeah, marketing and physician recruitment. And I learned so much in those 5 years at that hospital. It was an amazing career.
What was your mindset at that time around applying or not? I mean, was there any second guessing?
Applying for law school?
No, applying for that job.
Oh, no. I mean, I think I just at that point, they call it now unconscious incompetence. I didn't know enough to know any better, that I probably wasn't qualified, and I was probably going to have to go up against a lot of people to get this position. And I just got lucky.
No, that's awesome. I think sometimes, when we come to those types of decisions, we just paralyze ourselves, right? We just overthink it, and we don't even put our hat in the ring to even give us an opportunity or a shot, and you're in coaching, and I'm in coaching, and sometimes it's just showing up for that appointment, you know, and putting your best foot forward, because you never know, you can't control the end results all the time, but you
You
can
can't, but
control if you
yeah,
show up.
you can't, but what you focus on expands. And I think that's the biggest heartbreak that we get as we get older, is that we start to doubt ourselves more and more on a daily. And if we could just go back to that younger version and just do it and not be so scared, we're harder on ourselves than anybody else would ever be.
And why do you think that? I'm curious. Why do you think that we just continuously, as we get older, just continuously to doubt ourselves?
I think that, you fail your way forward so many times, but then in real estate and other industries, you get a little bit of success, and then you start doubting yourself with everything that comes your way. Like, can I do that again, or can I keep going? And then you get, if you're dealing in the trenches with the agents or the clients, you get a bad deal, and it humbles you a little bit and it kicks you down. And it's a gritty job. Whoever gets back up and keeps doing it every day. And then we just need to constantly remind ourselves, when I was a kid, I used to watch Saturday Night Live, and I loved the Stuart Smalley, the "You're good enough, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you." And if we just kept saying that over and over to ourselves with affirmation, but instead we are the ones that are putting the self-doubt in our mind, and we're the ones choosing not to move forward. And that's how you get paralyzed.
Yeah, yeah. I think about it quite a bit. As I coach more and more agents, and getting them into this business. Growing up as kids, we were always told to dream big, right? You can be anything that you want to be. And then, as we get older, it's the pressures of society. It's the pressures of really caring about other people's opinions. One of the things that I've been working on myself, over the past year and a half, 2 years, has been more video. And just putting out video content. I remember and obviously it gets easier with time and repetition, and all of those things. But I remember when I first got started, it was like, man, people are going to laugh at me. People are going to, make comments about me. People are going to talk behind my back, and all those things. And finally I just got to the point where it's like, I don't care, I don't really care anymore. And I think that's so hard to get to that point of just not caring about other people's judgment.
That people worry about what you look like, or what you're going to say, or how many times you're going to mess it up. Same for me. Video is really hard. I'm always pushing myself out in video, and let's face it, people in social media world behind the scenes, and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, they can be really, really mean.
Yeah. And one of the things that I took away, I'm a big Gary Vee fan. And
Yeah.
he said this one time on a podcast or TikTok or one of the videos I was listening to, and he's like, just imagine how bad that person's world is, or that person's life is, for them to leave that type of comment. And I just think about that, like if someone's going to sit there and talk negative, and I'm not saying I get that, but that's the mindset, right? Of, like if someone's going to, like, how bad is their life, right? I'm doing okay, and
Right.
for them to sit there and, so that was kind of like the mindset shift for me of like, man, like for them to do that, to be that way, something's got to be going on worse for them than anything that I got going on, right? So, Kelly, lead me into those 5 years, right? You leave the newspaper, you get this job that you don't think you're necessarily qualified for. Kind of lead me down that path, and then up to, when you decide to get into real estate.
Yeah, so I go into the marketing world. They taught me so much just from the ground up how to, just throw events, and which is great for real estate when you're doing open houses and
Yeah.
everything else in marketing. And I just remember just thinking, okay, if I can do this, I can do anything. What I did not like was a lot of the political things that you had to do. There was, when you're in corporate world, there's so many things that you are limited, and sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do, and there's situations that you're in that you're like, okay, this is not for me. And I got really lucky, became pretty successful in it. I then had a child and then another one at that point, and my boss was kind enough to let me do a job share, and I brought someone else and trained them underneath me so that I could be with my girls. And we did that for a while, and the other person ended up not really working out. So it was one of those, we're going to need you to come back in full time. And hey, if we do this, then your next step is probably going to be a vice president. And I had to really step back and think, is this what I want to do? Or do I want to raise these humans the right way? Because I wasn't there a lot. It's like, you're working a bunch of crazy hours. So I was fortunate enough to where I was able to leave that position and stay at home. And at that point in time, relocated to another area. I was married at the time to their dad, and we moved to where he grew up, and he was a COO of a company or CFO of a company. So I ended up staying home, and we had one more child. And during that time, in between that, when we moved, I hired a friend to be a real estate agent, and she sold my house for me. And then I bought my first house through her, and we did that. And then I just always, in the back of my mind, thought that seems like a really great job. And I ended up in this little small town, not much bigger than at the time than the little town that I had grown up in, and stayed home, loved being with my kids, but quickly realized I was not the stay-at-home type. And I could only take so many play dates, and then there wasn't enough activities. I had to be stimulated. I had to be doing something. So
Sure.
when my son turned 1, I got a babysitter, and I did the 3 weeks of classes at Hondros. And that was back in, you drive back and forth. Now you get to do it online. And I did it over one summer and got licensed in 2007, right when the market crashed.
The good time
Right?
to get in.
Yeah.
It's funny because I talked to a lot of agents, and it sounded like you had a great experience with your friend that helped you, through that process. And there's a lot of people that get into our business that either say, I had an agent and it was the best experience ever, and I knew that I wanted to be in the business after going through that. Or I had an agent who was absolutely terrible, and I knew I could do it, but if they could do it, that I could do a better job. So,
Well, yeah. So on the opposite side, when I went to sell the house, this friend of mine just didn't end up making it. She's like, you know what? I'm just going to go back into the corporate world. So I hired an older agent down the street to sell my house, and horrible experience. And I thought, yeah, if she can do it, anyone can do this, right?
so you decide to get into real estate. What was that decision like? I mean, did you have any interest in real estate, or was it, hey, I see that this could potentially bring me that freedom, flexibility that I need, to be able to raise the kids, to still be home, at some times, or was there like some sort of fatuation with the business before that?
I loved real estate. I always have. Big at that point, HGTV was huge, and I was watching that. And I had like some side hustles. I had a little gift basket business that I was putting things together, and that's how I kind of got introduced to that broker at that time. And I quickly realized, you start crunching the numbers, you're like, oh, okay, sell a couple of houses, and this is good money, right? And I knew I didn't want to go back into any type of corporate world full time. I wanted to be the present mom. I wanted to get the kids on and off the bus. I wanted to be able to have dinner with them every night, and I didn't want to miss games. I wanted to be that the mom that was able to go to all the parties and everything else in between.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that, a lot of agents get into this business, and typically they're coming from, a different career, most likely. There's very few of us that got in, right? Like it was our first choice. and they usually get in because they either want more money, right, or they want more freedom, or they want more flexibility within their day, to be able to do what they want to do. And you can have all three, right, if you set it up the right way. And you know this by from coaching other agents. And a lot of times the freedom and the flexibility sometimes are the curse to this business too, because it allows us as humans to and real estate agents to become lazy. So um,
Well, yeah, I got thrown a little bit of a curveball on that way. I started out at one brokerage. I ended up deciding, I got offered the franchise. I looked at the books. I'm like, they are not doing enough for me to run this. And then kind of I'm like, all right. And at that point in time, I've been doing real estate for a while and enjoyed it. And I decided to go get my broker's license. And then I stayed under this. I honestly had no intention of running a brokerage or going somewhere else. I was happy where I was until you're not, right?
yeah.
And that's between 2007 and then we're here to 2013. I decided to open my own brokerage, and I literally opened a brokerage and got divorced in a few months span.
Mm,
And so it quickly turned from flexibility and being able to be with my kids to mama has to pay the bills.
survival. you
Survival.
know and I wanted to talk about getting into the business because you got in '07.
Hmm.
And I wanted to kind of go through those first couple of years. Obviously, '07, '08, '09, through the recession. What were some of those struggles and success? Did you just come out, hit the ground running, or did you have some successes or some failures along the way?
Oh yeah, I mean, every day that you can find something that you either succeed or fail in real estate, and it's all life lessons and what you learn from it. But I remember when everything went down; it went down fast, and I was doing pretty well. This was way before people even had teams, and I hooked up with another agent that she was a very seasoned agent. She did not want to work nights or weekends anymore, and I'm like, listen, I have three little kids. So I'll work nights and weekends. You work the day, and we'll figure this out. And it worked really well for us for a very long time. And during that point of time, everything crashed. And so we very quickly realized, okay, we'll do the Fannie Mae's, the Freddie Macs, whatever we need to do. And that was our hustle. And there was this older agent in the office, and she was used to selling really fancy homes. And she said, "You know what? It's done. I'm not going to go sell double wides." And I'm like, "I will be the queen of the double wide trailer. Whatever you need me to do, I'm in it." And then I was like, it was like that aha opportunity. I'm like, I realized very quickly that most of these older agents were going to get out, and I could gain the market, get the market share, and keep it, and then move forward when it got better.
Yeah. What Did you have any guidance to go and partner up with that more experienced agent, or was it just kind of gut feeling, or it just happened?
I think it goes back to me always wanting to be like a team, a team
Yeah.
player. And I knew that she was seasoned and she had a great name and a good reputation, and she didn't want to do the things that I was willing to do. And I thought if I do this for a while with her, it'll catapult me to the next level that I need to be. Because at that point in time, I still have young kids, but I know my son's getting ready to go to kindergarten soon. And you go from a part-time agent to a full-time role. And I really, really loved it. I loved everything about real estate. I loved the transactions. And, you start out and a lot of times you're the buyer's agent. And if you pay attention to those people, they're going to quickly become sellers in 3 to 5 years. And you just have to nurture
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I started out on a team since day one of my career, still on the same team. I had that mentor. I think that's the number one thing that new agents truly need to consider. Putting ego aside or whatnot. Find that person, whether it's an individual or a team, that will take you under their wing, that will show you the ropes for the first 12 to 24 months, show you how business is done, and then go out on your own if you want to. And I think a lot of times just ego gets in the way. Same thing for the older agents that you saw, right? They didn't want to, their ego is the one thing that stopped them from pivoting their business to make it through that recession.
Absolutely.
So walk me through, oh 07, oh 08, oh 09, you're getting through that market. You're willing to do anything. You're out there hustling, right? I always say a dollar's a dollar. I don't care where it comes from. I got it in 2011, so I sold REOs.
Yeah.
That's how I cut my teeth. Um, Lead me to that point of like, okay, I made it through, and now I'm ready to go and do my own thing. Start your brokerage.
I just knew that I wanted something bigger and better, and I'd kind of hit that glass ceiling, and nobody else around me wanted to go. And when you're really looking at who the 5 people that you're hanging out with the most, you've got to be challenged. And wasn't challenged any longer. So I took the leap of faith and started my own small brokerage, and made many mistakes along the way. I had a lot of great people stay for a very long time. I also had a lot of people that were part-time or, came to me and they wanted my leads and everything else. And it was great. It was great until it wasn't great. But I always try to be the mentor to everyone else and teach them how to be that good listing agent, the good buyer's agent, and to do your homework first going in, so that you would get the deal however you needed to do it. So, when I started this and then opened up my own brokerage, I really didn't even have a lot of time to wrap around my head, like, okay, this is it. Like, let's go. And I don't know, you work really hard, you work a lot of hours, and you just focus, and you have to be able to give up a lot of other things. And at that point in time, I quickly realized, okay, I don't have time for anything else but real estate and my kids. And
Yeah.
that's what I focused on.
I think that's one of the things that some agents don't understand. I just had this conversation with an agent today. The sacrifices it takes, right? And I'm not even talking big sacrifices. I'm talking about, if you want to go from 2 transactions to 5 transactions a year, there's a certain level of sacrifices that need to happen. If you want to go from 10 to 15, 15 to 30, 30 to 60, and so forth and so forth, you have to get clear on what those priorities are and what those sacrifices are going to be, and what are you willing to do in order to get there. It's I know social media is now the thing where we see all of the end results, the closings and the listings, and the flashy cars and the vacations and all those things. But you know the top performing people and agents in our business, they are dedicated and disciplined, and they sacrifice a ton to get to that
They
level.
they do. I mean, you see anyone that's at a very top, high functioning level, they've really sacrificed a lot to get there. And I think a lot of people really, really quickly think that they can become that person. It takes years and years of discipline.
Yeah. Kelly, what's one thing, if someone's thinking about starting their own brokerage, um, what's one thing that you took away from that experience that maybe you would do over again?
Hmm. I think if I had it to do all over again, my biggest problem was that I didn't put systems in place early enough for myself and other people. And that was a journey I had to take, and until I could figure out how to get the systems and the models and go from there. And the other big thing too is that a lot of times as a broker, or if you're going to own the brokerage, people aren't going to like what you have to say. The agents aren't going to like you, and that's okay. You just have to get a very thick skin and know you're in it for a reason, and you want to do, I always say I want to give my clients 5-star service. And if you're not willing to show up every day and do that, then maybe you should go somewhere else.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things that agents struggle with on a consistent basis is the working on the business, the systems, the processes, all of the behind the scenes things that doesn't necessarily produce the results right now, but will down the road. And one of the things that my mentor has always taught me was, what do you want in 10 years? And you need to start putting those things in place today, right? And you don't want to wait 10 years and then start doing it, because now you're behind, And I think the working on the business of where you're actually putting in the systems and creating your business to be system dependent and not people dependent is a struggle for a lot of us.
I think the biggest mistake that most of us make is that we try to hire a bunch of people all at once, and we don't start with the fundamentals of the systems and getting an admin in place so that you can go to that next level.
Yeah, no, I agree. Kelly, kind of lead me up to current day. What was business like 2013, 2014, and all the way up to current day?
So, we were rocking and rolling at that point. We're doing really well. I was getting to the point where I was getting a little comfortable and I wasn't enjoying it as much. And I had to really strongly take sit back and go, "What? Okay, Kelly, what's going on? Like, why are you not happy? Because you're making money and you are doing really well in this town." And I had to really look around. And once again, it comes back to who are the 5 people that you're hanging around with the most. And I'll never forget, I took my daughter at the time had won an award in Florida. And my partner, Mike, and we traveled up, we took this huge hike, we got to the top of it. And I'm just like, clarity just hit me. Like had, I was at this glass ceiling and I needed to break through. And, I came back. I had hired a coach at the time. I did not have a coach before. I didn't even know what that meant. And someone told me, "Kelly, you need a coach." So I'm like, "Oh, sure." So I went and got a coach. And then that coach led me into another direction of, maybe should consider something else. And, I was kind of open to it. And then I was able to have a discussion, and everyone thought I was crazy when I said I was going to merge with Keller Williams and give up my independent Kelly Wiley Realty. But for me, I knew to go to that next level because I was hovering around 11 to 14 million at that point. I just couldn't
Yeah.
seem to go any further. And I'm like, I, I think I could go bigger and better. Let's see what we can do. And we did. And we literally, it was like overnight. And I will tell you, every single person in my office walked out and left me.
Yeah. And again, ego, right? Like
Yeah.
not having an ego. Like sometimes, we were vetting out a company here recently, and the question was, do we want to continue to try to build it ourselves, or do we want to align with this company to, in theory, spring us forward quicker, right? And I think sometimes it's that, right? It's potentially joining the team that already has the systems in place. Sometimes it's going to the different brokerage to have, the training or the systems or whatever, that can, or maybe it's just changing the environment, to get around bigger thinkers. Sometimes it's that, that you need to get your business to the next level.
For sure. And that's really what I was craving, something bigger. And
Yeah.
I love that was the one thing I did love about the corporate world was the team building and your Six Sigma or different things that could bring to the table. And I'm like, okay, I need to figure this out in a different way. And also at the same time, working in your business, I needed to work on my business because, I'm not getting any younger. So how am I going to build a retirement for myself? What's the legacy that I'm going to be able to leave so that I can have generational wealth?
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, that's awesome. And how long have you been with Keller Williams now?
I will be there 3 years this summer. I actually joined right during the pandemic, and I had no idea it was coming. So it was like a complete shutdown, learning Zoom, learning everything all at the same time, and I was just completely at ease, and I knew it was the right decision for me. I was able to keep my office, and I grew my team, and I was able to select some people to be on my team with me, and at that moment in time, I said, anyone that came with me or anyone that I brought in, I have models and systems. I'm going to teach you how to do it the way I'm doing it so that you can become the best version of yourself. But also, I'm going to give you an opportunity to grow in this company so that you never have to leave.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think that's where some agents, struggle is they feel like they have to leave in order to go to that next level. And I think from a team and brokerage standpoint, that's the next iteration of teams, right? Like when I got in 2011, teams were starting to become the thing, and it was like, oh, we'll provide leads. Well, now everyone has leads, right? And then it's like,
Right.
oh, we got training. Well, everyone has training now, and it's like, okay, what's that next stage of teams, and that, where does the agent fit in, and what's that true value? And I think you're nailing it. Of, you should never feel like you have to leave because there's always room for growth. What does that look like? I think that's the
Absolutely.
next question that team leaders have to solve for.
If they don't figure that out pretty quickly, then we're gonna have some problems. And the biggest thing in teams is that you should be able to build teams within teams so that they never have to feel like they have to leave, and they should be
Yeah.
able to come to their person and say, "I want to grow. How can we do this together?"
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Kelly, I want to kind of move into the future for you.
Okay.
What's one thing that you're looking to accomplish here in the next 12 months?
You'd mentioned earlier that I become a coach. So I just had finished up a long process of becoming a MAPS coach for Keller Williams. It was a big goal of mine. And through this, my team and I sat down and I said, listen, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to need you to step up and come to the plate. And then let's figure out how to, one, build our bench, and two, what type of leader do you want to show up as every day? What do you want to do? And that's where we're kind of meshing right now and growing and figuring out like who can take over what, as as mom steps back a little bit and eventually stepping into a more of a CEO role, and stepping away from production. So in the next 12 months, I can see myself stepping out of production, if everything aligns correctly, and becoming a full-time coach, and then still mentoring my team and being there for them, but also growing the team. We're really of a mindset of, we want others to come, and we want to be able to sustain them and to build them up to the best of what they can do.
I love it. Taking that next step, as you said, the CEO role, and really, that role is really removing you from the production side for the most part. And I think agents, especially team leads and top performing agents, have a hard time with the delegation and taking that step back. I mean, you're not really taking a step back, you're taking a step to the side, I guess. What do you think that you need to do in order to make sure you have success at that?
I feel for us, we've just this last year, every time we do something, I always go back and how can I have done that better? Systems,
Mm,
our admin, our virtual assistants, how do we run everything properly? And the biggest thing, what's your value proposition? Like for me and for my agents, I know for them that their value is they want to go out, they want to go to the listing, go to the next appointment, and they don't want the hassle of all the paperwork. So I've taken all of that away from them. I have everyone that does all of that for them, and then giving them a transaction coordinator, giving them an admin, giving them the support that they need so that they literally just need to go perform and then move on to the next client.
yeah. Doing what they enjoy doing, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
And
mean, and yeah, you're not going to enjoy writing a contract at 9 o'clock at night. I'd much rather see you go have dinner with your family or go and enjoy a sporting event and let somebody else write that for you and you review it and get it out.
yeah, 100%. 100%. Kelly, what's something that you're looking to accomplish in the next 5 years?
Uh, Personal or business?
Either.
So personally, I've had a dream the last 10 years that I wanted to be able to live completely nomadically. So once my youngest graduates from high school in a year and a half, I'm going to sell the longtime family home that we've all lived in. And I am a real estate investor. I do have other properties. I'm into executive apartments and buildings, and I'm always looking at how can I passively earn income. And what I want to do is I want to be able to travel around in a boat and coach while I'm doing that, and live from marina to marina and just kind of figure out my life and enjoy that for a while.
Yeah. I'm there with you. That's partly why I got into, really trying to coach a little bit more and really growing that is because I can do it from anywhere. And the number one thing is why I got into this business and why I love this business is because I want the flexibility and the freedom, so to be able to do that wherever you want.
Well,
That's awesome.
I think the biggest thing that agents do is they tell themselves they have to do certain things. Like I have to go to that home inspection, or they need me at that closing. They need me. So really what you need to do is write down a list of all the things that you can fire yourself from. And what are the most important things that you need to do to be the best agent in that area, and stop doing what everybody else is doing and just do what it takes to get, the 5-star review because you've done an excellent job. You've given them service. I mean, do they really care if you go to that closing or not? Is the lender going to that closing? I mean, what else could you be doing during that time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I had to take notes because I had to write that question down. What can you fire yourself from? I love that
Yeah.
because it's so true. Like I tell people all the time, like showings, like the buyers, they don't necessarily need you there. They don't care if it's you. They just need someone there to open the door, walk them through so they can see it. Now, you can still be involved in the negotiations and all of those things, but the physical act of having to drive to the house, open the door, walk through, they don't need you for that. That
Mm-mm.
could be your showing agent. That could be your assistant. That could be, a team agent. So I like that. I wrote that question down. I like it. I'm going to start asking, my agents that. I know we got a couple minutes, and I want to be respectful of your time. Kelly, what's a life goal of yours? What's something that you want to accomplish when you're no longer here?
Hmm. My number one job every single day is to be the best mom I can be, and that's the reason why I did everything. That's why I'm building what I have, and I would hope that when I'm not here any longer, that's just a carried on tradition of the Sunday family dinners and someone knowing that no matter what, they were the most important person to me, and that the reason why I did all of this was for them, and that I was able to create something for their children and grandchildren, and just I would like them to know me as a badass broker that did what she needed to do. But at the end of the day, I'm a pretty quiet person and likes to be home with my people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Last question. We always end the podcast with this. It's if you could give our audience a piece of advice that either you give to every single agent or a piece of advice that you wish you had, whether you got into the business or opening your brokerage, what would that be?
Mm. We talked about that earlier about firing yourself. And I really think for any agent that wants to get into it right now, just be your own person and don't try to rip and duplicate exactly what everybody else is doing. And at the same time, remember that you're a human being, just like the person that you're around. And your job is not necessarily to sell them something, but to match them with a home or a property, and not to be so hard on yourself, and don't be so judgmental on yourself as a human, and give yourself some time, and realize that this job is pretty doggone easy if you just really look at it. It's not rocket science.
You're 100% right. I always say real estate's simple but hard.
Yes.
It's
We only
simple. We like to make it more complex than what it
we
is.
make it hard because a lot of us are high D's, and we do have this egotistical way about ourselves where we think that nobody's going to do it better than us. But isn't it great when they do and you're the one that shines?
And I tell people this. It's like I just need the agent on my team to be 80% of me. If I can get them to be 80% of me, then that's good enough. And I train to trust, right? I'm going to train
Mhm.
them and I'm going to trust them until I can't trust them, right? And if I can't trust them, then that training comes back to me. That's my fault, right? I didn't train them the right way. So, you're spot on, spot on. Kelly, I appreciate you so much for jumping on. I know you gotta jump for your next meeting. For those that are watching, Kelly's information's at the bottom. If you're an agent and you want to connect with her, you just resonate with her story or you just love her vibe, please reach out to her. If you guys are looking to buy or sell, her email is down below. Her phone number is down below. Kelly, for those that are listening in, what is the best way for someone to reach out to you?
Sure. If you're an agent that wants to connect with me, I've got Facebook and Instagram at Kelly Wiley Coaching. And I just give advice on there as well. And then if you're a client that's looking to sell in Central or Southern Ohio, you can go to my Facebook at Kelly Wiley Group or Instagram as well and DM me, and someone will reach back out to you.
Kelly, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. And if I can do anything for you, please let me know.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.